Good evening. This is John William Greenbaum for Guru Baseball Autographs and Baseball TTM Autographs. This is the second installment of my YouTube show, and even though this is probably going to be one of the longer installments, I'm going to try and keep it as short as I can. Well, I actually took questions for this particular show from Jason Flesher, Justin Nordeman, Anna LaMonaco, who all asked about writing a letter, from Justin Dellinger, who asked about my best and worst experiences as an autographer, both through the mail and in person. Jeremy Reese, who asked me for a bio on myself and my father, and that might have to wait a little bit, but I do thank you for asking that, Jeremy. Eddie Walgren, of course, our administrator at Guru Baseball Autographs, asked about ink transfer. Index cards was brought up by somebody, I don't remember who. And then I also want to go over 5 harmful myths about through the mail autograph collecting and 5 harmless myths. Anyway, by how to write a letter, I got the distinct sense that it was you folks did not mean just how do you write a simple letter. You were asking me how I wrote a letter. Well, let me just say that I am a baseball researcher in addition to a through-the-mail autograph collector. I extensively research not just the ball player, I actually research the era they played in, their teammates, the ballparks they played in, their minor league careers, just every facet of the game around them. See, when you're writing a ball player, it's always made sense to me to know the era they played in. And I'll use him as an example because he's my friend and we communicate like 3-4 times a week at least. Let's say you're writing a letter to Paul Doyle, relief pitcher, left-hander with the Braves and the Angels. Well, if you're going to say, well, Paul, who's your favorite pitcher in baseball today? Well, Paul isn't all that crazy about baseball today. If you were to ask Paul about his days with the Angels or his days with the Braves, 69 was that was the first division series. That was the first NL championship series rather. And Paul, he was part of the pennant run. So you might want to ask that. Ask ball players questions, and talk about why you're interested in ball players from a certain era. Now this could be, in Paul's case, like I would write. In my opening paragraph, I would write who I am, that I am a through-the-mail autograph collector, that I am also a baseball researcher, that I resent people who put a ton of stuff on eBay or ask for 8 different autographs. And I actually crack a joke about that. And by the way, it was kind of off the cuff when I cracked a joke about it, but when Ed Bauta wrote back to me and said, "Thank you so much, we really need more people like you," about that, it stopped being a joke. I've included it in everything. And a lot of people have, since Ed Baudet has said it, have really appreciated that. So, I also, if my father saw any ball player at a ball game, I'm writing them. And I'm not just going to write them. I'm going to photocopy the ticket stubs, because my father kept all the ticket stubs. And I'm going to say what they did in that game. And my dad also kept scorecards, so fortunately I have access to those scorecards. I also have access to my father. I can ask him, well, Dad, what went on here? And I actually do quote him directly in those letters where I actually have, where I actually talk about a game. Similarly, my maternal grandfather was a scout for the 1936 Philadelphia A's, and he also was a bird dog who worked primarily with the 37 to 41 St. Louis Browns, and he actually did point the Browns in the direction of a pitcher by the name of Frank Ribbs Rainey, who won a single Major League ball game in 1949. And he loved writing down observations about ball players, and he loved predicting the course of careers, especially with pitchers, even though he himself in semi-pro ball was a second baseman, shortstop, and third baseman. He loved predicting pitchers' careers. But I relate the notes that he took, where he would turn his scorecard into a wall of graffiti, but productive graffiti, because it has a bunch of all kinds of notes taken on young ball players. He especially liked trying to predict the course of a prospect's career. But that's who I write about. And I research the heck out of anyone who I write. Anyone and everyone. And my notes are usually 12-point Times New Roman font, about 1 to 1.5 pages long, single-spaced. So I hope that, and I always include a form paragraph at the end saying, could you please sign the enclosed baseball card? Thank you very much for your time, and I have enclosed to say, that is my only form paragraph. Everything else is completely original. But I keep that last one a form paragraph because you don't need to change it. It's a universal thing. It's just instructions. It's not, it has nothing to do with a ball player's career. Anyway, Justin Dellinger asked your best and worst autograph experiences. Okay. My best in person was probably Steve Dalkowski. Second place in person would be Willie Randolph, believe it or not. And I know a lot of people complain about bad experiences with Willie Randolph. I had a really, really good one with my father. Dad had a scorecard from the 1981 World Series, and Willie Randolph reached base twice in that game, even though he didn't get a hit. And Dad flipped it open. He was actually going over the plays as they happened, and I really, really got a thrill out of that. Now, worst, I'm not